So we're going to compare Mbappe with a bit of a surprising choice, Eddie Nketiah, because I think it's a good way to show the tool off, and there might be some data in here that will surprise you. Welcome, this is the player comparison tool. I'm going to show you how powerful it is now by just searching for Mbappe. As you might expect, it lets you compare any two players, looks at all of the data from last season, calculates the percentiles for those players, and then we'll show you a nice radar chart that you can then edit. So we click get the data, and we're presented with a very basic radar chart at first that is quite surprising at first, because you can see shots per 90, XG per 90, touches in the opponent's penalty area, and Nketiah is right up there with Kylian Mbappe. Shots on target percentage, well, he does drip. He does drip. He drops considerably. Let's add some other data points then. Aerial duels won percentage. We can just click it and you'll see that Mbappe is, wow, that is very impressive. So the left side of the UI, you can just look at all the stats and you can just see which ones you might want to add. We've got errors leading to shots here. They're both strikers, so it's a bad example to add. If we look at fouls committed, we can see Eddie Nketiah committing a lot more fouls when he plays up there. Something else here, let's look at in-play passes, who's getting on the ball more. It is, of course, Kylian Mbappe. Shot-creating actions that were take-ons, dribbles, essentially. And Kylian Mbappe, I expected to be right up there, but Eddie Nketiah also right up there. Let's look at shot-creating actions per 90 minutes. Mbappe, he's creating so much, whether it's through dribbles, whether it's through shots. We can take a look at which one of his shots created another shot, and you can see, yeah, he's right up there, as is Nketiah as well, so maybe a lot of his shots being saved. I think the sweet spot for these radar charts is maybe 7, so you can see as you remove them, it just gets a bit easier to read, doesn't it? And you can just keep adding the stats depending on the players that you're looking at, or, you know, if you want to just sort of compare certain players with other positions. One that I did recently was Mason Mount and Caicedo, and just looked at, like, you know, the carrying distance and the progressive passes. And in terms of the distance, this is what I found anyway from it. Caicedo can play in that left centre midfield role that Mount might have played in under Pochettino. Certainly played there under Tuchel, and I think you just get more out of him. You just get more. He's more of a sort of what you would call a midfield player, Caicedo, whereas Mason Mount, he's sort of like a left winger turned into a midfielder. He's more of a number 10, I think, Mason Mount. Not to say he can't play there and do a good job, but when you're looking at that data and it's presented to you on a chart like that, and you can see that Caicedo is just up here for some things that you would consider important in a midfield, whereas Mason Mount is sort of near the centre. So yet to be seen what type of role Mason Mount goes to play at Old Trafford. Maybe Erik Ten Hag has a vision of turning him into a sort of Paul Scholes type controller of the midfield, because that is what Man United need, really. I don't think Eriksen worked at all last year. Bruno Fernandes and Mason Mount, I think right now they're two very similar players, and they might get in each other's way a little bit. If you're going to play Mason Mount left centre mid and Bruno Fernandes right centre mid, then Casemiro's going to get a lot of yellow cards next season when he is the only one in midfield, and he's like, yo, where are you? They've both gone, you know, to join Rashford, and the attack's broken down or whatever. I think they're very similar players in the movement that they make in and around the box. It's not to say you can't have two of them, but you've just got to make sure that there is someone else in that midfield. I think that's the signing that they should make after a striker. I can't believe they've got Mason Mount in before just signing a striker or a keeper. It's a good signing in terms of, you know, taking a good player off Chelsea, who are obviously rivals, and it's potentially the right price, I think, for Mason Mount. But I just think you've got to get your priorities sorted. Maybe because they clearly haven't signed a keeper yet. They're still trying for Onana. They weren't even in talks. They've only just started talking, even though everyone knew they were interested. So they're not exactly getting their business done in a way that, like, you know, City would or something. They just go and get it done. Liverpool making some good signings. Arsenal, I think they're definitely winning the transfer window so far. Havertz, yes, he wasn't very good at Chelsea. But I just think he needs somebody. With all the carnage at Chelsea, Havertz just needs somebody to tell him, this is your role, this is what you're doing. and then start working on him in that role. And I think Arteta has done that pretty well. Someone like Saka, he was playing right back, left wing, right wing, and I think at least Arteta, with a few of the players, Odegaard as well, knows his role now. Odegaard had played it as a holding, as a 10, as a centre mid. He played on the left as well. But Arteta, he gives players roles and they know the role. And same with Ben White as well on that sort of right side centre back. Timber coming in is a great signing, gives them so much more tactical flexibility because they can then put Timber at right back, and he is a right back, whereas Ben White wants to be in that centre back. I think this is a move that could benefit Ben White as well, because they can now play Timber as a right wing back if they wanted to play a 3, which would be Ben White, Saliba, and Gabriel, with then Zinchenko giving him less responsibility. Because I think Zinchenko, he's not the best left back, is he? He's not a great defender, but when he gets into that space just in front of the defence and there's a bit of space for him to work and operate, that's where you want him, coming into that midfield like he was for City. You never watched him at City and thought, bloody hell, wow, what a defender he is. But you just thought, oh, wow, look how he's getting them out of pressure. Look how he's just finding that pass into De Bruyne, who is then swivelling and they're in, That's what they want from him. And I think Declan Rice coming in as well, playing in even in that sort of system. He could be one of the centre-backs, he could be one of the central defensive midfielders. The thing is, he could be both in the way that John Stones comes up into midfield. Declan Rice has got the engine for that. If he's smart about his positioning on the pitch, that's what could really take Declan Rice to the next level. I think it will, to be honest. If you can just imagine him playing under Pep or playing under Arteta, which at the minute seems to be the next best thing, doesn't it, in terms of coaching? If you can't go to City, go to Pep. If you can't go to City, go to Arteta, because these players improve. They really do. The players that play for Arsenal at the minute, they are getting better, and they've got such a young team. And they're adding to that, Rice is 24, isn't he? Odegaard's still young. And Nketiah, who we were looking at here, Martinelli, he's another good one to have a look at in terms of his take-ons and stuff. So that is the player comparison tool. Ranted a little bit there about Arsenal, but if you've enjoyed the video, let me know. And as always, any feedback, just leave it on the comments if this is on YouTube or on Twitter or just Discord feedback. Yep,